Right. We are in Shmuel Aleph, and we're on chapter 1, verse 14. We just finished Chana with davening, and what Eli noticed was that her lips were moving, but there was no voice, and we explained that last week. Last week, right? That what he was noticing was that her lips were moving, so that should have been a short prayer, but it was going long, and he couldn't hear her voice, which meant that when you go long, you normally go in for the intermediaries, and so he said, so she wasn't following either of the models of prayer that were presently in that day. By the way, it's also an interesting, I'm going to say this right from the beginning, it's a very interesting point, that if one does not follow the model, the accepted model of prayer that we are used to, so we think either they are not praying or they're mocking or whatever the case is going to be, they don't fit in, we can't fit them, the round peg into a square hole. So therefore you're abnormal, or something is abnormal. And as a result, he thought that she was drunk. Okay? Now, I'm going to jump ahead here because, Rashi just says she thought she was drunk because she didn't, there was no sound. But I'm just going to jump ahead because I don't know where I saw it, but I'll just explain it right now. What happened was he asks Eli, had the Urim V'Tumim on. He was wearing the Urim V'Tumim, so he said, "What is the nature of this woman?" So what he saw were these letters, namely Shin Kuf Chaf Reish Hey. Okay. Now, if I want to, so one way you can do it is Shikora, drunk. The other way you can say this Keshera, the same letters. Keshera, she's good. She's proper. She's doing proper. So now what happens is, so again, it doesn't, when it lights up, it doesn't light up in order. You have to know via Ruach HaKodesh.
Those letters will come up just whatever.
On the Urim V'Tumim, right? So the breastplate. So when he asks a question, they would light it up. So now so you have to have Ruach HaKodesh, the holy. I never like using the English for this because for the Christians who watch this, and apparently we have a large amount, they get all excited when it says the Holy Spirit. Ruach HaKodesh is really the Holy Spirit, but not the Holy Spirit that they're in Christianity. So I want to put that out there. Whatever they want to say, it's not that Holy Spirit, but it was a bit of prophecy. So the problem is, like any good prophecy, if God's not speaking directly to me, saying like I am speaking directly to you right now, so there can be a miscommunication. And since he had to put those letters together, he put it together as Shikura, drunk, instead of Keshera, kosher. She's a good. Okay? So he asked the question, and that was the answer. So that's going to come up later, but I just want a heads up there. Okay, so now let's continue. Dalet. Vayomer eleha Eli. So Eli said to her, Ad matai, until when? Tis takarin, will you be drunk? Okay, so what's going on here? Why are you acting this way? And that's how he says it. How long will you be drunk? I think, right? Yeah. Right. Hasiri et yenech ve'alayich. Remove your wine from you. And so, what happens? She says to him, I'll go with the Malbim first. He said to her, until when? Because besides the fact that a shikor, a drunk, is forbidden to pray, asur lehishahot b'mikdash b'shichrut. It is also forbidden to remain in a holy place in the mikdash while you're drunk. Therefore, If so, remove your wine. And afterwards, tavoi el mikdash keil. Then you can come back to shul. They come back to the mikdash. Okay. By the way, you're learning a lot of things here because one, we're not allowed to pray when we're drunk. What does drunk mean? It means that I had 4 ounces of wine.
Ooh.
That's all it is. One nice, you make a kiddush, it's done.
Yeah.
Just over.
Ah.
4 ounces. It doesn't mean I'm really drunk. Okay? So that's why we don't duchen.
You could be a little tipsy though.
4 ounces.
You haven't had any food in your stomach.
Okay, I think 4 ounces. You won't be,
I don't know.
no, I don't think you'll be drunk at all. But I mean, I'm not even a drinker, but I don't think you'll be drunk of 4 ounces. But the point is that's why Kohanim on Simchat Torah don't duchen, normally don't duchen in the afternoon, in the Musaf, because we've already had Kiddush. So, because otherwise it's too late, and so on and so forth. That's where that midnight came from. But in general, that's a problem also, by the way. Here's for the Kiddush Club people. The Kiddush Club is also a major problem. A Kiddush Club, just for you, Bill, is in between services. The people have been in service if they came to shul on time. So from 9:30 to let's say 11 on Shabbos morning. So they've been sitting there listening to either Torah being read or the services. And now there's a Haftorah, while they feel that that's not important enough for them to listen to. And so they go out and they make a kiddush for themselves. And they have a couple of drinks of, it's not normally wine, by the way. They normally have the hard stuff because they need to just relax a little more. And they have some herring. I don't know if you know what herring is. Mm-hmm. Okay. They have herring. And so on and so forth. By the time they come back to shul, only 15, 20 minutes later, they're pretty happy. They're pretty happy. Okay, because they didn't have just one shot. They've had a couple of shots already. So now if the rabbi is actually speaking, that's when, which we don't do that here. But if the rabbi is actually speaking, if the rabbi is speaking, they usually stay up for that too. So they have another couple of minutes to drink. Yeah. But that's probably where it started. But the point is, when they come back, they're tipsy, and so that is forbidden to daven. Now, what's even worse is when these guys are called up to lead tefillah. I mean, here you have a person who is drunk according to halachic standards, not according to drunk standards, but halachic standards, they're drunk.
Would you say 4 ounces of wine, would that then be equated to 1 ounce of whiskey?
Around there.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're already gone, and they want to lead tefillah, and it's an embarrassment to the kehillah, to the congregation. It's an embarrassment to everybody. What are you doing here? And that's why actually the rule became here that if you're going to be having drinks, you can't daven musaf. It wasn't, by the way, that wasn't a rabbinical ruling. That was a congregational ruling, but made by the congregation. Okay. Those who understand will understand. It was not made by us. We didn't get involved. That was somebody else who decided that. And for the most part, I think we've held to that all these years. So, but I don't know. I mean, I don't check them at the door to see if they're drunk. But that's where it's coming from. The halacha is coming from all these sort of things where it says, remove yourself from the wine. And it's and that's why you shouldn't have kiddush clubs. Yeah. You shouldn't have it. I mean, you also shouldn't drag the service, but you shouldn't have, you have to have a compromise after a while to figure out what's halachically proper and what's not. So, V'tan, Chana, V'tom, and that's without the OU declaring you can't have kiddush clubs. Okay, it's just common sense. V'tan, Chana. So Chana answered, V'tomer, and she said, Lo Adoni, no, my master. Again, look at the letters here, just for the sake of understanding the word. Adoni would be the same question, same word as Adonai, right? The word for God. Yeah. The difference is Adonai is plural, Adoni is singular. Mm-hmm. My master versus my master. but Adonai is the royal we, if you will. Okay.
If you were okay, so here this word used here is literally Lord or master.
Yes.
Referring to a human being.
Yes.
How do we refer to God then? How do we?
Adonai.
But what is the we?
I. The end. The comments.
Okay, so this is
the
my
chirek.
answer would be-
There's a chirek. Adoni.
Yeah.
We say Adonai.
I'm just still trying to. If you translated it literally in a plural,
You would say, I don't know how you would say yeah.
The plural. I'm trying to. Figure out.
I can't. We never did that.
Yeah.
So,
No.
right. I'm just making the point.
I understand.
The word Adon means master.
It's the same letters, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It means master. So it's a matter of, when you say Adoni, you're never referring to God.
Yeah.
I don't think you are anyway.
No.
I don't think you're ever referring to God. Tomer el lo Adonisha said, no, my master. Ishak shat ruach anochi. I am a woman who is of a hard or embittered spirit. They say embittered, sorrowful. Okay, fine. What does she say? Yeah. And wine, or new wine, or old wine, I have not drank. But that's the difference between those two words. One is old wine, one is new wine. That's from a Rashi in Chumash. Here it doesn't say it at all. And here it probably says, he says new wine or old wine. There you go. Okay, fine. So then it says, V'eshpoch et nafshi lifnei Hashem, and I have poured out my soul before Hashem. So Rashi explains, Lo Adoni, which means Lo Adon Atab Davar Zeh. Now here Rashi takes liberty with the word. You are not a master in this thing. Okay? Galita ba'atzmacha, you have revealed yourself. She'en Ruach HaKodesh Shora Alecha, that the divine spirit, the Holy Spirit of Hashem, does not dwell on you. Sheteda, because he know that you would know if he did be upon you. Sheteda sha'ani shecharat yayin, you would know I didn't drink. So you're giving proof that you don't have any Ruach HaKodesh. Now, can you imagine? I want you to see the scene. Elia Kohen, the Kohen Gadol, the big what do they call him? The big poobah. Okay, he is there. He is one of I don't know if he's a Gadol Hador for them or not, but he is a major player. And here, this woman, he insulted a woman, says, "You're Shikora, leave! What are you doing here?" It doesn't seem he's yelling at her, but okay. And she says to him, "You know what? They say you're a big guy, but you're just proving yourself to be a charlatan. Thank you so much. Because you don't even know what you're looking at." Can you imagine the chutzpah? That's a chutzpah, I'm sorry. It's a chutzpah. I mean, I know it's Chana, but it's a chutzpah. I mean, she doesn't get punished for it, but you normally don't do that. You normally don't say to somebody, you're living proof that you're not who you were saying you are. So it sounds like a chutzpah. I was like that. I'll change that language. It sounds like it's a chutzpah, she's saying. Okay, so Rashi, the Malbim says, "V'tomer lo Adoni." He says, "No, my master." Ba'ashir lo ya'ada hasiba sheba'avor yachshva l'shikara. When she still didn't know the reason for why he thought she was a drunk, Yeshiva lo. She answered him, "Im choshev kain." If you believe this, machmat shara oto marbe b'chiyam marivot leiv, as a result of you that he saw her crying so much and have a bitter heart, the reason you saw that was because I'm a woman of an embittered, hard spirit. And it's because, and maybe you're calling me a shakara, because I davened quietly. Hey Shiva, so she said, I am pouring out my soul before Hashem to Him alone without an intermediary. Therefore, I did not raise my voice and I did not cry out. So the Malbim does not do what Rashi does. Again, Rashi's putting in to Chana's mouth that you are a charlatan. You don't know what you're talking about. On the other hand,
where does Rashi get that from?
Alo Adoni, the word Adon. By the way, Rashi's not getting it. It's a Gemara. He's only quoting Gemaras. He's quoting the Gemara. So the Gemara is making that drasha. Or the Midrash, however you want to put it. So, that's, he's Rashi never says anything without...
What, so when she says Adoni, that is it kind of mocking?
So again, the Gemara or the Midrash is bringing that out to say, you're not a master in this matter. Lo Adoni, you are not my master.
Oh. Huh.
So it's a twist on words.
Okay.
It's a twist on words, certainly. See, nobody else does it like that. Everybody else is just saying, you are my master. No, it's not true.
Oh.
No, it's not. But like I said, Rashi is...
No, right off the bat, in other words.
Right, so Lo Adoni.
Instead of being a little more, like... Okay.
Like I said, Rashi is very, boom.
Yeah.
He gives it right to her. And he puts words, he puts that, it's an interesting set of words he puts into her mouth. Everybody else is being, no, she doesn't mean that, she just means, answering the question.
Okay.
But,
Interesting.
Let's go on.
Right.
Okay. So, Vatan, 16.
Yeah.
Right. Al titain et amachel, do not give to your, or do not have, put your maidservant lifnei bat blial, as a person who is without a low life. Don't make your a scrupulous woman. Fine. Because through a lot of conversation and a lot of my anger, I have spoken until now. So how does it say that? For out of abundance of complaint and my vexation have I spoken now. Okay. So Rashi is altitin et admatcha kalfesh kalapesha amra lo devarkash kasha. Since she said something in a very harsh manner, namely that you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Chazra Pashyata. Now she goes back, realizing what she has said, and she tries to appease him. And she says to him that he should not put her in the category of a hefka woman or an ownerless person, or somebody who wants to be disgusting or despicable because of her tsaris, because of her distress, and so therefore she doesn't want to be considered a bapalial. Because of the majority of this conversation, this long conversation, which again is I'm pouring out my soul to God, and because of that, so he says, again, it's still Rashi, Dibarti lefanecha koshi, since I spoke to God so much, I spoke before you so cruelly, so harshly. Sichi, and he says sometimes sichi is a matter of complaint. So devarachim mirov sichi kitrugumo. Okay, fine. Then kaasi, and I was angered. Sarti mekasa and mekasa auti, that my distress angered me. So it's such a touching moment, because this is what people do. If I see you doing something wrong, again, you're not fitting my framework. So now I do something wrong. So instead of asking you, what's wrong? Yeah. Compassion, what's wrong? I come over to you and say, you're drunk, go away. and you answer me the same way I came out at you, you come out at me.
Yeah.
Now, normally you wouldn't have done that. Normally you wouldn't have done that. Normally you're a very docile person. And you know your role, you know your place. But at this point, the Rav didn't give you kafzchut, didn't give you credit. So you bounce out at the rabbi, or you bounce out at the president, or whoever you're going to bounce out. But then you realize, oh, what have I done? What have I done? It's not proper. Regardless of what he said or thought about me, I cannot do that. It's not proper. So now she's backpedaling and says, no, you don't understand, sir. And that's why she's going through this whole explanation. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's a very touching moment, and it's something we all get stuck on. We all get caught up in these moments where somebody says something to us, and we're tired, or we didn't get a cup of coffee. You know, that's the most amazing. Coffee in the morning. I think you're a coffee drinker, right? Yep. Coffee in the morning. If the coffee drinker does not get coffee in the morning, you do not talk to the coffee.
They're grumpy.
They're grumpy. It's done. There's no conversation. I remember one time I called before I was married to my wife. I called her in the morning because I was up for 5 hours already. So what do I care? You know, I figured everybody's up already. I'm up 5. I had to go to Minyan. I'm up 5 hours. So she was a college student. What can I do? I didn't realize, and so I called her. Now she didn't yell at me. What she did was she had a conversation, actually a logical conversation, and she said to me when she was just about, and I didn't get it. As we were just about finished, she said, "Wow, imagine that's even before coffee in the morning," which was her way of saying, you know, I want to have my coffee. But she didn't do it. Now, by the way, if I try to talk to her now before coffee, the kids, don't talk to me, they don't have coffee yet. They don't have coffee. That's it. So, I mean, the battle lines have been drawn. But, you know, and that's a coffee person. And so on and so forth. You know, there's times when we tell you, and as a teacher, I'm sure you've done this, when you're not feeling good. So you go to the class and say, okay, guys, I'm not feeling that great. So, you know, cut me some slack here, right? And students generally accept that and will react to that properly. As opposed to, you don't say anything and they're doing what they normally do and you blow up because you're so upset with, you know, you can't take it, you have a headache, you have this, and they're yelling and every sound is, now normally we deal with those sounds, but today you can't. But that's what I'm saying. So here she is coming out and saying, I'm sorry about what I said. It was not my place to say it. And it's only because of these reasons that I spoke to you in that manner. So she immediately recognizes. So that's something else that people normally don't do. They normally don't recognize. Even if they do recognize it, they don't want to ask you for forgiveness. And this is Chana is showing us the path. Again, Chana is a very strong character here. Character development. She's a very strong character that we're learning a lot from her as to if we make a mistake, you immediately have to apologize. And you explain why I made that mistake. You don't just assume that the other person is going to be forgiving. I have always said that. I learned this from when I was in Moncton, New Brunswick. Somebody yelled at me. It was my first pulpit job. Somebody yelled and insulted, blah, blah, blah. And I realized they didn't care at all about Fred Neville. Fred Neville, I was nothing in their mind. They weren't picking on me. They were picking on the rabbi. It could have been Fred Neville, it could have been Moshe Rabbeinu, it could have been anybody in the world. But the rabbis who they were attacking. And once I understood that it was the rabbi and not me, I'm no longer, it's my role you're picking on.
Get some baggage from the past.
Right, that's all. So I always just say, okay, gesundheit, and I listen, If it's, again, I always tell people, if it's something that you can change, and it's a real problem, by all means, change. If it's something you cannot change, then, you know, what can you do? You just accept it, and you say, thank you, Hashem, for the kapara. That's all you can do, because it's not me. You're not picking on me. You're picking on the rabbi. And the rabbi is a punching bag that you have. Could be the priest. Could be the imam. I don't care who the religious leader is. Could be any. It could be the principal. For all I care. It's that authority. The boss. The boss. You pick on the boss. What did the boss do? He didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. But it's the boss. Anything's a boss's thing. It's a boss's headache. Okay. But that's what I'm saying. It's once you get to that point and you realize it's not me, so that's something else. So, and it's like I said, it's just an amazing thing that she's saying, it's not you. It's not you. Eli, it's not you, really. I have no ties against. It's not. I have no claim against you. I am crying to God, and you indicted me, and I bounced out at you, and I shouldn't have done that. I deeply apologize. That's what she's saying.
I think, when you analyze a text,
Yeah.
it's very important that you not take something out of context.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when I started this book, you think of it as an interesting story.
Right.
But that underlying that this is the story not of Hannah, but of prayer and the power of prayer and the nature of prayer. Well, the nature of prayer is when someone is communicating with God in prayer, you got to give them space. Coming up to them and accusing them of being drunk when they're pouring out their heart is going to elicit a bad response.
True, but at the same time, the person doing it has to understand when you break normal rules, people are going to look askance at you. So really, there's a dual thing. There's a dual responsibility. One is for the person who is praying not to do anything that's going to be outlandish. And again, for instance, we have a prayer. It's the central prayer, the Amidah. That's really what we're all trying to get to. The Shemona Esrei, the standing prayer. Okay, that's the silent prayer. You have to hear it. You personally have to hear it, but your neighbor shouldn't hear it, and so on and so forth. There are some people. It would take you, if I would spew the words out, it takes approximately 5 minutes to say, just the words. That's with understanding, by the way. With understanding, 5 minutes all should take. Some people will do it in less time. I don't know how they do it, but some people will do it less time. Some people will do it so long,
10 or 11 minutes.
10, 11, a half hour, and you're looking, what are you doing? How much you saying? And we like to make fun of that. Because you've broken what we consider normal. Why it take so long? What do you think? You're the only one that's God's listening to? Or you have to pray that much? You're such a sinner?
Wow.
Whatever the speech is going to be. Or what happened? You couldn't keep your concentration? Again, any one of those, because you went out of the model. But you went out of the model. So that's the other part of the story. That when somebody goes out of the model, you don't berate them.
We're getting a lot of aspects of prayer.
Right. You don't berate them. What you do is you let them go, and that's between them and God. Now, if it comes that you see the person staggering and everything else, and you smell the liquor on them, okay, then you have a responsibility to say later on, not while they're drunk, but later on, you really shouldn't be doing this. Should, in a calm manner, get them out of that situation. But it's something that this is, like I said, that's the duality here. When I'm going long or I'm going short, or I'm speaking it out or I'm not speaking it out. Whatever's normal for that community, if I do the opposite, so then people look and say, what's going on here?
Don't draw attention to yourself.
Right, not that much. I remember I won't say the name because this was in Bangor, but somebody, I was a visitor who came, and we have, during Kedusha, there's times when you lift yourself on your toes, just like this, like a Torah. It's not a gigantic thing. So the person jumped up, boom, boom.
Left the floor.
Left the floor 3 times. I was like, whoa, this is so cool.
Wow.
And I was thinking, Michigan, crazy, but okay, whatever they want. And I saw it, and and everybody, of course, everybody else saw it too. It wasn't just me seeing it. Everybody saw it. Nobody's going to say anything because it was a stranger in town. But it was, they made fun of it. Who did she think okay, I just gave her as a woman. Who did she think she was jumping at? So I said to them, look, that's how she got higher. I mean, you have stories in the Gemara that one guy starts here, he ends up there. It's not unheard of. It's not a problem. That's how she have Kavanah. Would I do it? No, I wouldn't do it. But if that's how she davens, that's how she davens. I defended the process because that's what she felt she needed to do. Fine. Again, it was behind the mechitza, so I wasn't jumping into the men's section. I didn't jump over the mechitza, so I didn't really care that much. But that's what happens when it goes abnormal. That's when we like to make fun, or we feel obligated for some reason to confront that person. Don't you know that you should be doing blah blah? No, the answer is I don't follow your rules, or I have an embittered spirit. So but it's still when I attack somebody, the normal reaction is to attack back. The beauty of this story again, and I can't say it enough, is that she, after defending herself, realizes that she went too far. According to Rashi, only according to Rashi, where she went too far to say you're not who you say you are. You're a charlatan. Let me just finish this up with the Malbim, because this is all we're going to get to anyway. So Yud Zayin, it says I went two. I'm sorry. So it was Ted. So 16. Yeah, it says. She said, "No, my master." Oh, I'm sorry, I did that. Alra said, she said, "Do not put." In other words, Lord Shmuel, don't make me into a lowlife. Because you asked after I had prayed to a God alone without an intermediary. Why I took so long for my prayer? Shiva, and she answered, that's for a different reason. From all my distress, and that's why I prayed so long. That which I spoke until now, and I petitioned for things more than is normally accepted, more than is normal. That it be known for somebody who stood before Hashem alone. That's because of all I'm going through. When it says altitain, do not give payers, the explanation is al ta'azov, do not abandon. In other words, lo tenaticha lingoy alta zvein v'yadi l'sarati shib bableel. Don't abandon me and make me into a no good for nothing. Rather support me. You should be supported through a prayer. Okay, and so she's asking him, help me out, instead of saying I'm a lowlife, instead of doing like that. We'll have to stop here, but she is also petitioning him as a Kohen Gadol to help out, daven with her, pray with me, Rabbi. How many times have you heard that, right? So that sort of thing is what she was asking for. Like I said, it's a beautiful look at. I mean, these verses are so power-packed. That's why it's so hard to move through them. But it's 3 verses, so all you got. But it's a really powerful thing as to what our role as a congregation is, what the individual, when they're davening long, the worst thing to do is to attack them and say, why are you davening so long? There's reasons. Somebody asked a rabbi, why do you take so long to daven? He said, because I have to pray for your children.
Because what?
I have to pray for your children.
Can't argue with me.
That was it. It shut him right up. Wow. I was like, whoa. There was nothing to say anymore. But that was a great line. I don't know if it's true, but it was a great line. But really, when a person goes long, we shouldn't be looking down upon that. I'm speaking to God. May it be Pesukei Zimra, the verses of praise. Maybe any part where I'm thinking about it. I can say the words, or I can think about what they mean. I can say both. I can do both. It takes a little longer, but the investment is well worth it.
When you were running through, I think the daily explanations of different things, you're running through Pesukei Zimra, like that, section by section. There's so much going on.
No, that's the point. And again, I want to think about that. 3 verses took us 35 minutes, and I can't even. And I didn't. I hit the surface of it. There's not even a depth to. I mean, you get the musar, but it's really not. I only hit 2 commentaries up, using 2 commentaries, and the conversation. Can you imagine how much you could get from tefillah if you're doing that? If I'm looking and saying, okay, look at just the words, not why they write it, what's the history behind it, what do they mean, what am I supposed to get from this? I'm talking to God. I'm getting myself ready I'm getting myself ready to talk to God. Who is God? Hallelujah, and so on and so forth. We say every single day that God is the one who gives me the money, gives me the health, gives me this, gives me that. When I want to pay raise, who do I go to? I go to my boss. Or I go to you. Say maybe we can worry about pay raise. Or I'm going like that. I'm going to the wrong people. I'm going to the wrong being. The only one I have to go to is Hashem. I say, Rabbanu Shalom, Master of the universe. Rabbanu Shalom. I appreciate everything you've given me, but would it hurt? Maybe you can find some other way. Now, it doesn't have to be through, by the way, let's be honest, it doesn't have to be through Torah Center. It could be through some other place. God has plenty of place. Everybody can write checks out. It's amazing stuff. You can get money from all over the world, and they can all come to you, and lo and behold, the employer it doesn't mean the employer has to put out. It means that you're asking Hashem for the health, for the right shidduch, the right date, for the healthy children, and so on and so forth. It's all from God. Has nothing to do with doctors. Has nothing to do with how many tests you can have, how much money you have. Nothing. That's all from God. And if I take those prayers seriously, and I really, and the musar that we learn, and I take all that really seriously, and I really incorporate it into my mind, now I understand who I'm really working for. And at that point, so now when I need something, I'm going to go directly to the source. I'm not going to go indirectly. And I think that's the problem with Hasidim, by the way, where they go to the Rebbe. And I think that's when I also want to say the same thing about Christianity. I think they've missed the boat on that, when they go through the intermediary instead of going directly to the source. God's the one who controls this, not the man, not who you think is holier than you. If you think that he's holier than you, so you know what it means? Work harder. Yeah. That's all it means. Work harder. Not say, well, I'm not holy, I'll never reach their level. No, that's ridiculous. You're reaching your level. I'm not in competition, like I said to my kids all the time. I'm not in competition. I'm going way over time. I'm not in competition with Plony. I'm only in competition with me. It's all in competition. I'm the only one I'm competing with. And I am the hardest guy to compete against. You, I can compete. Either I beat you or I don't beat you, right? It's how the race goes. It was great. I was watching, what was it called? Ninja, something Ninja on. I was flipping the channels when I was on vacation, on the thing. I had to relax. So I was watching something Ninja, I forget this. And they had to run the course. Oh, yeah. I forget what it's called. It's on TV. Yeah. And these guys are, in good shape. And they never lost it. So you had two people who were undefeated at that point. Well, you know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to be defeated. It's impossible that, that's the nature of the show.
Somebody has to win.
Right. So one guy won. Shkoyach. Okay, when I went, it was an interesting thing. I never really watched these things through. I have to say that they keep you watching as a result of that. But it's, you're at the top of the game. But nonetheless, somebody has to lose. What does it mean? That the guy should say, okay, I lost, I'm a loser? No. It means get back in the gym. Get back to the gym.
One day.
That's it. Well, the next day you all win. No big deal. That's how it works. But you're in competition with yourself. Not with the other guy. If you did your best, then that's all you can ever ask for. And that's what I'm saying with tefillin and everything else we're looking at. I have to worry about me. I also have to worry about you and help you as much as I can. But I'm not in competition with you. That's why when something good happens for you, I should be so happy. That's what Muslim says. I should be so happy that it happened for you. I shouldn't say, God, why couldn't it be me?
Where's mine?
I should be saying, Baruch Hashem, you have what you have, and really, really mean it. Again, we can all say the words, but I have to really mean it. If I mean it, when I help you get there, and this is all part of, again, we've learned this in all these other courses, then it will come to me sooner or later. But I should never do it for that purpose, but, again, that's where it holds. But that's what I'm saying. That's what you're learning from this whole three Pesukim.